The feminist movement began during the late 19th century and continued throughout till the late 20th century. Now, during the feminist movement, there was an increased advocacy for female rights, for equal rights. And an outcome of this movement was this painting, painted by Norman Rockwell in 1959, called The Holdout. In this painting, you can see a woman who is being confident and is making an independent decision despite being coerced by the men surrounding her. The idea that women can be independent and make their own decisions was a very common idea that came throughout the feminist movement. The spread of these ideas resulted in increased female participation in the workforce, in the government, and increased female education. However, these trends were not seen in all countries. For example, in India, the female labor force participation rates have actually significantly decreased during the 21st century. Now, India being a very Hindu prominent country, which has 17% of the world's female population, led me to ponder the question: during the 21st century, to what extent have Hindu beliefs in India affected the cultural acceptance of women in the workforce? My name is Vandana Manchakanti, and my argument is that during the 21st century, Hindu beliefs in India have negatively affected the cultural acceptance of women in the workforce. Now, Hindu beliefs can restrict certain female actions. For example, in a study done by Monica Munoz at the Illinois Wesleyan University, she concluded that there are two roles that a Hindu woman typically has. The first one being as a wife. Once a major milestone is when a female gets married in Hindu society, and they're seen to be devoted to their husbands. The second one is becoming a mother, when they bear kids, and this makes them seem as respected and intelligent people. Overall, the traditional outlook of Hindu women is that they are respectable women because they are life givers, and people tend to respect them and hold them as holy people, even if they're just a woman. However, with these roles come certain expectations, and a quote by a blog in Restless Stories basically shows that in India, there are certain religious beliefs that determine the duties of women. For example, once a woman is born, usually one of their goals is to get married, and then their next goal is to have kids, and then once they have kids, to take care of their kids. And so these roles in a Hindu society, that results in their actions being restricted. However, some of these stereotypes can be broken. As for example, when it comes to the education rates of females, their education has significantly increased according to this chart by Statista. However, while more women are getting even more educated, this is not being shown in the Indian workforce. For example, female labor force participation rates in India, according to the World Bank, have continued to decline from the 1990s. Now, looking deeper into this, when we can look at single and married women, the difference between single and married women is that married women tend to have more expectations in Hindu society. They're expected to take care of more than just themselves. They're expected to take care of their husbands, their potential children, and their children's children, like that. So, the participation of less married women in all of these regions of India shows that Hindu beliefs have an effect on how many people are working and how many are not. Now looking at this chart, out of all of the women that are not working, over a third of those women are willing to work. That means there is something that is stopping these women from working. And some people might say that there are so many other reasons to this other than religion. However, let's look into these reasons right now. For example, if you look at this data by Pew Research, it states that most Indians see women and men equally as good for being a political leader. There is equality between how women and men see each other. And nearly 3/4 of adults in India say both men and women should make financial decisions. So when it comes to more gender role related stereotypes, just taking care of children and earning money, it can be seen that they still inherently rely on these gender stereotypes, as the women are expected to take care of the children and the men are expected to earn more money. However, the female working conditions in India are decreasing the already negative cultural acceptance of them in the workplace. For example, looking at this chart by the IWWAGE on sectoral distribution of the workforce for women, it's important to note that according to trading economics, there are 17% of women in India live in urban areas and 35% live in rural areas. So this means that most of women are in industrial or agricultural areas. And this is because, this is important, because agricultural and industrial workplace conditions are the worst compared to any other type of working condition. And this is further proven by a study by Punitha Kumari, which is published in the International Journal of Medicine and Public Health. This journal basically shows that all of these illnesses are being illnesses are being conceived by women who are working specifically in the industrial sector. And this is not safe whatsoever, because these illnesses are very common. The amount of people that are not obtaining these illnesses is very rare. And therefore, it's not morally correct for a Hindu person to send these holy women into workplaces which result in these terrible working conditions. So in order to fix this, one of our solutions is to create organizations to encourage women to work. This will persuade women to continue their education and their work, and to convince families to be open to the idea of women working, and to decrease the negative stigma around females working. However, there are a couple of limitations. For example, this solution relies on the publicity of these organizations. If these organizations do not gain popularity, the solution won't even work. Also, it can not affect women who aren't even aware about the existence of these organizations. Women that live in extremely rural areas that don't have knowledge that these places exist will not be benefited whatsoever. Our second solution is to better the existing working conditions of working places in India. This includes providing funding to government programs so that the working conditions will be better and there will be less illnesses, which will reduce the negative stigma associated with sending a woman to work, because it'll be much safer. Also, it increases the safety and health of working women. And a couple of limitations would be that this costs a lot of money. So the government may not be able to spend this much money on this because of the already large population in India. And also, it does not only affect the women, it can also affect the men. However, this solution is the best because it deals with increasing the safety and health of working women. While it increases the safety of the women, it increases the chance that women's families will be able to send their respectable daughters and their respectable wives to these respectable working places, because now it's safer for them and it's more culturally acceptable. Do you have any questions?
I do have two questions for you. First question, was there evidence that you gathered that you didn't use, and then if so, why didn't you use it?
I had evidence from certain sources, such as the Hindustan Times, which is a newspaper, which was talking about how, basically how these, not working conditions, it was how the stereotypes of Hindu beliefs actually positively affect women to do certain activities, which didn't actually have anything to do with working, but it was influencing them positively to make better decisions. This one I didn't use because, first of all, it's from the Hindustan Times, which is very biased, and it's very we agree with Hindu beliefs, and Hindu beliefs are correct. And I didn't want to use that in my presentation because it just didn't seem like it would be giving the full story, and also it didn't really support my point.
All right, what might be a real-world implications or consequences of your findings?
Well, my findings have shown that small religious beliefs, such as the small roles of women that they have during ancient times. In ancient texts, as I said before, women have two roles, as a wife or as a mother. Now, these small decisions or observations that people make and stereotypes that they add onto these females can result in such big dramatic influences, such as the decreasing number of women in the workforce. The amount of women have been decreasing has been significant, from around 30% to around 18% of women working in the workforce. And this can show other people how much their religion can affect their decisions. And that's how it can